Welcome Vinay Payyapilly to the stage. With over 20 years of experience as a technical writer, he is passionate about the practice. He is constantly looking for ways in which he can bring value to his organization. He is usually in a constant state of creation through his work, blogs, and podcasts. Big round of applause for Vinay. Over to you, Vinay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, good morning. Morning.
Morning.
Happy Valentine's Day. How many of you are here from outside town? Show of hands, please. Okay. I'm guessing that Puneet arranged this so nicely so we would have an excuse to come into Hyderabad to meet our Valentine's. Okay, how many of you actually had a Valentine's date yesterday? Show of hands, please. Come on. No? Okay. Alright. The day after Valentine's Day, everybody seems down, right? Half of the people are down because it's like, now how do I reach the end of the month? Right? The other half are down because I didn't have a date for Valentine's Day. So it's like after a football game where you've played an opposition and you've won the game. So neither of the sides are happy. But sorry about that. Interestingly, it's Valentine's Day comes right in the middle of the month. Okay, and I've always found that very interesting because I'm sure it's a PM who decided that. Yeah, I mean, you can laugh, no problem. You're all family here. Okay. So yeah, I'm Vinay. I'm the director of documentation at New and I head a team of about 8 people now, and hopefully we will grow soon. AI is something that I'm very interested in, and over the last 2.5 years, 3 years, I've been working on incorporating AI into the documentation processes itself, so that we can improve efficiency of the company or of the team through AI, right? Disruptive technology, everybody says AI is a disruptive technology, right? And disruptive technologies have been around forever. Okay, nothing's new about having a disruptive technology. The very fact that we created Atlas, okay, was a disruptive technology. Printing press was a disruptive technology. Interestingly, each of these technologies, when they do come in, right, it doesn't disrupt the space immediately, right? It takes quite a bit of time before it actually disrupts the place. A very good example would be electricity, right? Edison discovered electricity. He discovered a way to store it, and he set up a company. And almost every organization jumped at the fact that they could have electricity. They could electrify their factories. Okay, but nobody really saw the benefits of electricity for close to 2 decades after that. The reason for that being, our factories were not set up for electricity, right? We were still running on steam, and all those processes needed to change before we begin to see the benefits that electricity brought us. The same with computers, right? Computers came in right in the 1960s, right? And every time through the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, people kept saying, we are at the computer age, we are at the computer age. But it was only when the PC came in, when spreadsheets came in, and people started changing their processes to leverage the power of computers, that the computer age truly set in. Then you had the internet age, right? Again, the same way, right? I mean, I remember 1995 was the first time I logged into the internet, right? And, not 95, it was 97 that I logged into the internet. Okay, it took us 30 minutes to actually get connected. Okay. After 30 minutes, we went to it was the Nirvana website. Okay, the band Nirvana's website. And it took another 45 minutes for the website to load. Right? And from there, okay, nobody would have imagined that today we would be delivering so many services over the internet. So it took from about 97, 98 to the early 2000s or 2010s that we began to see the benefits. But notice, electricity took about 20 years, right? The internet took only about 10 years. Okay, so we are getting better at this. And these technologies are making their presence in our lives, earlier and earlier, faster. Our processes are changing faster. So which leads us to believe that GenAI is going to be even faster. It's not going to take 10 years before GenAI becomes part of our everyday life, right? Not just as a technology that is interesting to have. Right? Before I go into what I've been doing with GenAI, right? There are two things that you can ask yourself, when you want to bring in a new technology. Okay. The first one is, how can you make money with that technology? Right? The other one is, how can you save money using that technology? These are the two questions that your company is really worried about. Right? They are not worried about the cool things that it can do. They are only worried about whether can you make money or can you save money. Right? So when I looked at GenAI, these were the questions I was asking myself. Right? And I'm going to go in reverse chronological order of the experiments I've been doing with GenAI. Right? So I'm going to start with what I'm doing today. Right? So we all hear that GenAI is going to replace writers, right? And I used to find it very amusing when people would say that, because I was like, then who's creating the content, right? GenAI is obviously not going to create the content. The other day I did a little bit of an experiment. I gave a set of random letters to ChatGPT, and I asked ChatGPT to come up with a new word, right? Which has never been used in English before. And I asked it to also give it a back history of why that word evolved to mean the word that it has just created. And it couldn't do it. Because any AI is going to be only as good as 1 second before it was released. That's all the information it has. It doesn't have any information after this moment in time. Right? It hasn't reached that. And that is where we come in, because we are creating the content for tomorrow. And once we've created the content, then GenAI is able to play with it. Right? And I will give you examples of that and why it is good. Okay. But at the moment, what we are doing is we are looking at how we can be more efficient, okay, to use by using GenAI. Okay. Everybody over here will agree with me that one of the biggest problems that faces technical writers, okay, is to get information. Right? The PMs are busy, okay, the SMEs are busy, the QA is busy, the developers are busy, right? Nobody has time to give us information, right? So what we are doing over here is, okay, we are taking different types of input and we are feeding it into GitHub Copilot and allowing GitHub Copilot to create the first draft for us, right? So it started with just taking product specs and feeding it into GitHub Copilot and then asking GitHub Copilot to create the first draft. Okay, fine. Nothing great. I had tech writers come back to me and say, hey, the amount of time it took me to get GenAI to give me a good output, I could have just written it. Okay, I was like, yeah, fine. But there's a very interesting thing about GenAI, and we should never forget.